Welcome to this workshop produced by the Yale Office of Career Strategy and focused on career exploration. I'm Derek Webster, Director of Common Good and Creative Careers, a Yale College alumnus and lecturer for Practicum 4710 and 4720. Today, we hope to get you more comfortable with the career exploration process. Before we start, don't forget to check out our office's many additional resources with more information to be found throughout our social media channels, Instagram and LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, and our two separate but related websites, ocs.yale.edu, which is informational, and Yale Career Link, which is more interactive. That's the place where you would go to set up an appointment or review our current jobs board, that kind of thing. And additionally, what are we going to do for today? Well, the agenda, starter at least, we'll take a look at reviewing our office's mission, setting up the framework for strategic approaches. We'll start you off with some goal setting. We'll highlight the many online resources available, including the Design Your Career at Yale platform. Even establish some AI career research and best practices, and briefly recognize a few available Yale summer experiences and funding opportunities. Then we'll pull it all together into an action plan and exit on some additional industry resources to consider. As this is a pre-recorded workshop, you'll need to hold your questions until you can connect with one of our advisors directly. So you can go ahead and read the OCS mission statement. It's online as well as right here on the slide. But what I really want to focus on is our support of all levels of career development. Basically from what is a career to I need some help finding resources for this one very particular job type. We tend to start conversations with students early and extend and deepen those conversations over time. If you're able to break our advisory engagement into two primary categories, you would start with advice. This includes direct advising engagement, quick questions or long format, individual sessions, workshops, much like what we're doing right now, materials review, everything from resumes and cover letters to portfolios and applications, and best practices for building relationships and relating to people in or near your industry of choice, or just your interest of choice. More commonly, we call that networking. That is likely to come up more than once in this conversation. These are the staple services that we offer in advising every day so that you'll want to take advantage of these resources early and often throughout your time at Yale. Separate but related would be the more dynamic support that we offer your ongoing exploration. This includes more strategic approaches, navigating the difference between function and industry, making you aware of specific types of career resources available, helping you to design your career. And okay, the networking part is important enough. As I said, we'll touch on it multiple times. And in fact, it actually touches just about everything that we do with our office. It is just that important. To categorize this, that some of those strategic approaches we want to consider, we can sort of break it into a primary starting place is helping you to identify your skills and interests and begin the deliberate and ever-evolving process of plugging those into the professional landscape of your interest, or just kind of opening the window in that direction. As we become better able to understand where you're coming from and what you're after, that puts us in an even better place to help you improve the supporting materials that you can use to tell your story. Considering some of your identified points of interest, we can help make you more comfortable in approaching knowledgeable people. Start with those that you likely already know, who might be able to provide you additional and specific context and advice. Hint, hint, a little more networking. All of this will tend to add up to directional targets that can condition your search and application process, and which includes approaches both passive, think jobs boards, and active. Yes, we're never more than just a few steps from that networking. I'm going to drill this so many times. I will be sick of saying networking. And then organizationally, fundamental to your improved professional approach is applying simple but effective organizational methods to your ongoing exploration. Things like keeping that burgeoning network of contacts managed through a robust and annotated spreadsheet for ease of later search and recall, archiving good notes from the conversations and research sessions, and journaling around particular points of interest and experience. In terms of goal setting, What do you want out of an experience? When it comes to setting goals, there are three initial pillars to keep in mind: your skills, your values, and your interests. What you're really asking yourself: what am I good at? Skills. What do I care about? Values. And what am I drawn to? Interests. There are other thoughts and concerns to keep in mind, such as where do you want to be located? Though these could be thought of as geographic, they go beyond that. And in a way, they're not as personal or fundamental as the pillars, but we can think of them as additional criteria that can provide relatable factors, again, such as location, but also functional focus, industrial focus. Some of the questions to ask yourself include: are you hoping to enter or try out a career field? Would you like to gain broader exposure to an industry or community, maybe develop some specific skills, learn some language, platforms, tools, more technical kind of deepening of your experience, existing connections? Is this about the people you're connecting to? We go back to the concept of a specific geography. Is this domestic? Is it abroad? Do you have to be in a location? Is it really about building the relationships and going beyond the people you already know and expanding your network? Maybe it's about credentialing, whether that's earning academic credit or earning some sort of a credential that's going to help with the CV resume moving you forward for potential future opportunities. Is this about improving the resume portfolio narrative? It can touch on so many different levels and really touch so many different things. And those criteria, I mentioned, the function and the industry is one aspect of those. So I want to go a little bit deeper in that direction. Amidst this exploration, it might be helpful to further distinguish between the functional and the industrial categories. A job function is about the type of work you want to be doing, whereas a job industry is about the where. Within the economy, within social, cultural expectations, where and within which part of the country or world you want to be located. So again, functional interest is directly tied to your skills. You carry this with you wherever you go. This is quite adaptable, actually, because it's really about the defining basket, the toolkit that you bring with you. Industry, in a different way, is actually more particular to the environments that you're after. So again, that need not necessarily be just like industry. It can be education, healthcare, consulting, media, visual arts, but it's also just a different way of thinking about it, where it's less about the personal basket you bring with you and more about the reflecting upon the aspects of the world that you're looking to engage with. One thing that you can do to explore the difference between function and industry and actually individually explore them both is to try out the OCS outcomes data, which is available. You can learn more and research jobs related to specific industries and functional categories. And you'll find that on our website under the outcomes data segment. Okay, so how about online resources? Some things you'll probably want to know about. So first, there's the Yale Career Link. It provides the jobs board, employer database, a scheduler for advising appointments. That's where you'd get on if you want to set up something to engage with one of our advisors. The events calendar, specifically the events calendar, that's mostly about the kinds of things that we're putting on and the take ownership over in terms of events. We have a number of exclusive resources with premium access available only through the Yale Career Link, the YCL login. These include big interviews, mock interview recording, and AI resume review, Rocket Block's technical interview training, Career Shifts broad job search aggregator, which includes company and contact research tools, First Hand's career guides, Going Global's international guides, the Traverse Government Jobs Board, Forge's virtual work experiences, and the all-important Yale College peer networking list. Check out the resource shortcuts and the career library to gain access to all of this and more resources within the Yale Career Link. On top of the Yale Career Link, which again is sort of this engagement piece, you have the OCS website. a little bit more informational, and it includes interest-specific career communities that can help you to deepen your exploration, as well as tips and advice for application materials, interviewing, and network building. This is also where you'll find the overall OCS calendar. So this is the calendar that is not just the things that we own, but even some of our partner organizations and tangential events that you might want to know about, even if we're not running them. It includes the Job Markets Insight tool, as well as the Yale College Student and Graduate Outcomes Interface. And you'll also find the Design Your Career at Yale wayfinding platform. So maybe we'll take a deeper dive, at least a bit of an overview for what that is. This is a really great tool that you'll want to check out. It can live with you, and you can come back to it and do different things with it. The Design Your Career at Yale is a fantastic online tool custom built for Yale populations, and it's based on the innovative Stanford design thinking approach as applied to career development. Some important distinctions you'll want to know about. It's modular. That means you can use it at your own pace. You can do it in segments. You can come back and try on the fifth piece, and then come back and try the third, and then do it in reverse order just because you liked it that way. It has a lot of that kind of adaptability. It includes valuable self-reflection exercises that will help you develop your college view, your work view, and your world view, which are all tied together in a really interesting way. It also has a number of career ideation and brainstorming exercises that culminate in an Odyssey plan, which sounds as epic as it is. It's a collection of multiple career prototypes that can be overlapping, but can also be kind of brave and bold in different directions, and really help you begin that process of self-mapping and understanding hypothetically what are some of the pathways you could see traversing, but also what are some of the steps that you can identify that could help you move in those directions in a prototyping fashion. AI gets brought up a lot recently, obviously, in a lot of different domains. And so, the question has been posed like AI for career exploration. So I want to take a quick dive in that direction. It's one of those technologies you'll want to take advantage of. It's become a popular resource for researching career opportunities. In fact, it is a really great tool, especially when used in the right way and with the right expectations. AI can be particularly helpful when building up initial career ideas or optimizing existing materials. It can be helpful when finding specific job listings based on a defined category, or generating mock interview questions and supporting your networking outreach. And so here are a couple examples of the kind of prompts that can be successful, both exploratory and generative. And we won't read them out loud, but you can take a second to take a look at these. And what I want you to notice is how clear and specific the language is. It's important that you're actually giving enough information, qualifying in the appropriate ways. And there is actually like a bit of an art and a science to this. So you want the right material, but you also want to incorporate it in the right way. You want to buffer it appropriately. There's a little bit of a learning curve in this process, and these examples are kind of moving you in the right direction. But the more specific you can be, the better. And it's always better to be able to tie it down to the specific, and then you can add on more and you can layer on more. So much more to be said in that direction. But that it is something that is worthwhile, but it needs to be kind of controlled in the right way. As a highly adaptable tool, feel free to try different approaches, but always make sure to double check your research. One of the things that you'll really want to be able to do, generating the table, I just wanted to mention, generative prompts, as opposed to broadly exploratory prompts, can be things where you're actually asking it to generate something specific for you, and you can dive deeper into that. You can get statistical first, and then you want to tabulate the statistics. Like those are the kinds of progressive ways that you can use AI appropriately if you sort of bite it off in the right kinds of chunks. As I was mentioning, AI provides a great starter for generating the ideas and getting the ball rolling, but your own personal narrative and individual spark of a voice, that is what makes you human. Flawed though we all are, those flaws are actually what give us texture and personality, and actually, often insight in a really interesting way. And so you don't want to lose that. Those things cannot be reproduced by AI. So make sure you're starting with the AI, but finishing with the depth of lived experience and particular voice, which is, again, something that employers are often looking for. Mention just to rehash this, be clear and specific, try different approaches along the way, definitely double check the research, and AI is the starter, but you are the finisher. Okay, so additionally, the summer internships, there are a number of those that our office oversees, as well as some funding opportunities. So just to mention our great partnership with the Office of Fellowships and Funding, they have tremendous resources available to help you explore Yale-based funding opportunities in support of your summer research, internships, and independent project potentials. Remember, those fellowships are quite broad and they can be used in a lot of different ways. The programs that we oversee as an office that might be worth mentioning so that you would know more about, and you can look up more details, but just know that this is something you can bring directly to us outside of all the exploration in those externals that we look at. We also run the Paul Block Journalism Internship Program, available through the Yale Career Link, the Buckley Media and Public Service Internship, also through the Career Link, Yale Alumni Community Service Fellowships, also Yale Career Link, and the Yawkey Community Service Fellowship. That one you'll find in the Student Grants database. Yale and Hollywood, often a non-funded program, but really important in terms of exploration and opening up channels of possibility within the film and media, Hollywood, and even New York. Even though it's called Hollywood, it does have some New York positions on there as well. That is usually available through the Yale Career Link. And then you'll see on top of that great partnership with the Office of Fellowships, we've got these additional great partnerships. These are not exhaustive, but just representing, some of those great partnerships around the university. And as a reminder, you can and should look into those directions to kind of try on a little bit more of what this can look like. Meaning that there's a lot going on around campus that certainly our office is aware of, but isn't necessarily managing or directly overseeing. We can point you in those directions, but you can also, you should feel, quite free to be exploring with some of these partner programs, President's Public Service, Dwight Hall, Sci-City, Undergraduate Research Association, CCAM, the University Gallery, ... like many more in those directions. And one, I mentioned, that great partnership that we have with Fellowships and Funding. I mentioned the Student Grants database. If you're looking for a fellowship that's going to be your best friend, you'll find it under funding.yale.edu. It has hundreds of different funding opportunities. It includes basic information. You can use keyword searches to try to, pull out specific interests, those sorts of things. Also has the deadlines and additional information, link throughs for those who have more than just the Common App, which is something that you'll hear more about as you dive deeper into funding. We'll tell you where there's additional application processes out there, but so many of them actually are within the same mainline version of a Common App. And so that's, the funding.yale.edu. Our office helps to oversee the Summer Experience Award, the SEA, which the important things to know about that are that it's for any student on financial aid. It can be used one time. It supports, it's available for interests engaging in nonprofit, government, NGO, research, or, interestingly enough, arts apprenticeship. I would actually be the person to reach out to and contact for more details in that direction. And all of those categories and more details can be found on ocs.yale.edu/SEA. All right. Additional summer programs to know about. This is just a reminder to consider all of your options when you're thinking about, summer possibility. Certainly, we've been talking a lot about internships and even fellowships and funding and those sorts of things, but there's also summer session, there's study abroad. And, one way that I would, mention you'd want to approach is kind of this broad exploration that's recognizing actually a summer might have a little bit of multiple of these. You might end up having a study abroad program, but reaching out and connecting and doing a shadowing opportunity with an organization either associated with or nearby the university. You might be doing your summer session in the first phase, the early phase, or the latter phase, which would leave you a block of a month or more in order to try to fit an internship in, or fit, a independent project that you wanted to work on, or finding a funding opportunity to do an independent project. So, there's a lot to be explored here, and they can work together in really interesting ways. So it's never so, kind of straightforward as saying, here's the one thing I'm going to look to do. And also there's a layering that happens here just in terms of your priorities and which of these possibilities might be, harder to get, and I have to wait to see if I get that fellowship. Easier to get, I know I've got the SCA, so that'll be my backup. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into establishing your priorities and recognizing there's many things that can be accomplished over the course of the summer, and it's rarely just that one thing that you want to focus on exclusively and go all in. Okay, so action plan. We've made we've touched on a lot of things, so let's try to pull some of this together. Determine your goals and interests. This is our story starts with you, right? All right, so we've got your story. So you're going to review your application materials, make sure you're telling the story well. And this is, this part can happen whether or not you're actually applying for something. Again, remember, it's reviewing the story, which is going to fit into an ongoing narrative that is going to change, morph, evolve, and strengthen over time. You're going to read the Yale, the Career Strategy newsletter for upcoming things. This is making sure you tell your story well. Sorry, that was what application materials. This is reading the newsletter to provide a lot of leads, and it can be, I want to mention, it can be customized. That's a kind of a hidden bit that we hope would be obvious, but isn't always. That as you're getting this newsletter, it gives you the option to link through, and you actually can find this on our website as well, to be able to click through and actually say, Taylor, here are the categories I'm most interested in, and that greatly improves the applicability of the kinds of stuff that you're receiving through our newsletter, which can be extremely important. Okay, finding opportunities through both Yale CareerLink and external industry resources. The CareerLink's a great place to start, but through even using our website, and I mentioned some of those community pages, not necessarily just industry, but broader than that, the community interests, which are chock full with all kinds of different resources, many of those actually being external resources that you can be pointed towards. The inescapable key to all of this is about relationship and relationship building. If you're not the biggest fan, which not everyone is, I would even venture many people are not, make sure to meet with us to discuss how we can ease your way into a stronger approach for networking. And by the way, there's even a workshop focused directly on networking that you might want to check out. That will re-emphasize and double underline the idea that what you should really be doing moving forward is meeting with us. Use our resources, as I mentioned, early and often. We're here to help you even as your interests deepen and evolve. We advise in a lot of different capacities. There's quick questions, there's deeper one-on-one sessions that we take on. There's all kinds of events and workshops that you can try on. But if you have not engaged with our office directly with an individual having a conversation, you should definitely be doing that. And then all of this is sort of building towards the idea of eventually being ready to apply. And by that, I don't necessarily mean here's the job or internship. Sure, that's the steady, easy version, not easy, but that's the most immediate version of this. But this can be an application for fellowship. This can be even just, not just application as in I'm filling out this form, but rather I'm taking those next steps. I'm getting ready for the interview. I'm doing any of those sorts of things. So we're ready to get you there. And again, that's whether you're many steps away or you're actually already, you've advanced to the point where you're ready to you want a mock interview to try to figure out, do I have the right feel for this position? All of those things are part of what we can do next for your action plan. So additional industry resources, I mentioned those career communities. Remember to check out the many specific resources that are surrounding each of these different interests on our website. Don't forget to also plug into the community contacts across the university. This is sometimes easily overlooked. The people that you already know are your best steps forward in terms of connecting with, faculty, student org, peers, recent graduates, those sorts of things. They can open the doors in so many different ways, and knowing you and knowing your context, you're already, a few steps ahead. So don't overlook that part. External resources are a great way to build additional context for an industry or category, including following news and trade publications. Job market insights, I mentioned before, is a great way to take a closer look at the jobs data from a given category. And some of those additional resources, Firsthand Vault guides, Career Shift, they offer additional resources that dig much deeper into a defined interest once you get there. And there are also some training opportunities. Forage, Prometheus, Rocket Blocks. Those are different ways that we have partnerships with these organizations that can help, set up some steps in the direction of training and getting more comfortable and better understanding what some of these things look like. And Rocket Blocks works on technical training as well as preparation for consulting and behavioral and those sorts of interviews as well. So definitely, it's got broad interest, but those specific interests as well. And this is normally when we would kick things over to questions, but as I mentioned, as this is kind of a closed loop workshop, you'll have to save those. I hope I gave you enough to get a clean start in the direction of thinking about your career exploration and get your process started. Feel free to circle back around and connect with one of our advisors to keep your process going. And know, your interests are almost certainly going to grow and change over time. Know that our office is available to continue this conversation with you wherever you are and whatever the next chapter awaits. So thank you very much. And to dig deeper and engage with our office, ocs.yale.edu. I mentioned that's the Yale Career link. That's the URL for it, simplicity.com. And you can also go to our events page to see upcoming things that you might be interested in. Thanks very much.